Jorobe was known as TikTok's golden boy. He built a reputation calling out creators for problematic behavior, posting videos about consent, respect, and accountability.
I wanted to use my platform to talk about this because there are still so many people that think that misgendering someone is funny, and it's not.
And in the process, garnered over 5 million followers across all of his accounts. But it didn't take long before he was exposed for actions far worse than anything he'd ever called out.
John is a disgusting and terrible hypocrite who abuses his platform by using his clout to and prey upon underage boys.
And as a result of his ultimate cancellation, Joe deleted his TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and any other social media you can think of, and simply vanished into thin air. He hasn't made a public appearance after being forced to quit forever, but this might be because he changed his legal name to hide from all of his horrible acts. So what actually happened to Jorobe after he got cancelled? I'm Indart, and as always, make sure to subscribe with notifications on. For a bit of background information, Jorobe's real name is John Robert Bell. Before the controversy that tanked his career, he wasn't just any regular creator that was chasing trends. He positioned himself as something far bigger. A voice of accountability. Somebody who stood above the chaos of influencer culture. He openly spoke about being deeply religious, which ties in perfectly as he also worked at his local church. He described himself as a Christian youth pastor, and online, that identity became central to his brand. His content focused almost entirely on calling people out. If a man made a questionable comment about women, he would stitch it.
He decided to post even more videos making creepy faces while duetting women. Now, I've made plenty of videos on this topic about why duetting somebody just to ogle them makes people uncomfortable, especially when it seems that's the only thing you do on your page.
If someone made an insensitive joke, he would respond almost instantly.
And the person who posted the video decided to put the caption, argue on whether that's a or not.
And if a creator crossed a line, he would make sure that everybody knew.
Coming from a artist like you, golly gee, that sure means a lot.
Okay.
His messaging was clear. Respect women, respect minorities, and be better. And it wasn't just a phrase, it was literally on his merch. Whether it was a sticker, hoodie, mug, or t-shirt, you could get it labeled with Jorobe's signature slogan centered in the middle. And for a while, it worked. He built a following of nearly 5 million followers on TikTok, and his comment sections were filled with nothing but praise. People called him both brave and honest, which led pretty much everyone to believe that he was TikTok's ultimate creator. But the very thing that built his platform would eventually become the reason it collapsed. Because when you build your entire identity on being ethically superior, there's no room for error. And eventually, the cracks started showing. Some creators began pointing out that Jorobe seemed unusually focused on projecting his own morality. Not because of what he was saying, but because of how hard he was saying it. Literally supporting everything that seems to get hate on the internet. Women's rights, LGBTQ communities, racial justice, equality across the board. On paper, none of that is controversial. But both the frequency and intensity of the messaging made some people uncomfortable. However, towards the end of 2020, a famous TikTok creator under the name Gemini Official was getting cancelled for his multiple relationships with younger girls. Given that Jorobe's entire platform revolved around accountability and protecting vulnerable people, many expected him to speak up immediately. Although he didn't. When asked about it, he claimed that the situation was obvious and didn't require commentary. But it also might have been because videos talking about the situation often got taken down.
It's not easy to cover the Gemini situation. A lot of large content creators like Mr. Bruno and others have been having their videos taken down, myself included, when they talk about against, child. It's weird. He's not going to really go after because it's not something that TikTok likes.
But this wasn't the only instance of him avoiding this exact topic. When one of his best friends online, who also made similar content, was called out for what they were heavily against.
And I felt like I was invincible, I was unstoppable, I couldn't make any mistakes, and it resulted in me making the biggest mistake that I think I'll ever make.
Jorobe, once again, stayed silent. People started to catch on that he never addressed this one specific issue.
An issue with the fact that you have no problem calling out problematic men. But it seems like the problematic man is your friend and you're a little quiet.
But only a couple of months later, his life would change forever. In 2021, multiple individuals came forward publicly with allegations against Jorobe. The first major accusation came from a 17-year-old who claimed that John had privately messaged him, asked for his Snapchat, and discussed meeting up once he turned 18.
John is a disgusting and terrible hypocrite who abuses his platform by using his clout to groom and prey upon underage boys. John first followed me whenever I had about 30,000 followers and joined my live stream and asked for my Snapchat, so I gave it to him.
According to the accuser, Jorobe allegedly offered to rent an Airbnb for his 18th birthday and would provide him with drinks.
He asked me if I wanted to get an Airbnb with him on my 18th birthday, which was over 3 months away. At the time, I thought it was a good idea, and initially, it was supposed to be with other people. He started to send me links to one-bedroom Airbnbs, and he offered to purchase me alcohol if I went.
And all it took was one victim to make the first move, as multiple others quickly came forward with their own experiences.
And he was essentially trauma dumping onto me to try to kind of keep me in what I think was his grasp.
He started asking like different questions, like, what state do you live in? And do your parents let you travel? And do you like to travel?
And then he had misused that trust and tried to get me to do things and was sending me things that I didn't want.
In fact, there is an entire Google Doc that put together every single thing Jorobe did to his victims, in which some of the worst included making a Zoom group of 15 to 19-year-olds take a BDSM test and share the results, tried to lure minors into houses, always brought up the hot tub to minors, commenting on an Instagram post makes me want to lol, bribing the group to call him hot, tried to get them to make accounts once they turned 18 and saying he would subscribe, trauma dumping on 16-year-olds, keeping their addresses, wanting to be handcuffed to bed, constantly sending inappropriate pictures throughout the day, and bragged about watching not safe for work content while at work. The list was honestly the most insane thing that anyone had ever read. And obviously, nobody saw him the same after all this information became public.
This is predatory. This is an extremely manipulative thing, and it's what dangerous people on the internet do.
As the allegations quickly spread, attention shifted to his real-life role within the church. Reports surfaced claiming that he had previously left his first job over disagreements related to youth policies. And as the Christian youth pastor he so claimed he was, he quickly started working at yet another church. Eventually, the most recent one he was affiliated with removed him from their website and hid his portfolio entirely. The church then confirmed his termination and the authorities had been contacted.
The pastor reached out and he wants to remain anonymous. However, the bishop is aware and he has been terminated and authorities have been contacted, and that's about all that we have here.
To be clear, there were no widely reported criminal charges at the time, but reputationally, it didn't matter. The damage was already done. Then came the part that shocked absolutely everyone. He didn't upload an apology, He didn't deny the allegations publicly. He didn't try to explain himself, even in the slightest. As mentioned in the intro, John deleted his TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, LinkedIn, Discord, Reddit, Twitter, and any other social media you can think of, and simply vanished into thin air. Every account connected to his name disappeared within a matter of days. For someone who made hundreds if not thousands of videos holding others accountable, the silence was deafening. And in internet culture, silence is usually interpreted as surrender. If a prank YouTuber gets exposed, people roll their eyes. If a drama creator gets caught up in drama, it's almost expected. But when someone builds their entire identity around morality and protecting vulnerable people, the standard is different. The question everybody is asking is, where is Jorobe now? Since deleting his account, John has remained completely absent from the internet. No new public platforms, or not even a single interview about anything going on in his life. It's almost as if he never existed online. When you try to look up his name or any video he's ever posted, it's pretty much impossible to find an original video. Almost everyone you'll see now is in much lower quality, being taken from a Jorobe exposed TikTok compilation. However, a post on the LA Influencers Snark Reddit reads, "I used to live in the same town as him when he ran for office in our town. I also looked him up on Criminal Record and he changed his name in 2022 to try and hide from all of his horrible acts." In the replies, the same person stated, his new legal name is on the public Minnesota court website. When searching for John Robert Bell, this screen shows up saying no cases match your search. However, after immense digging and 94 different results, I was able to find this. On the 25th of May 2022, a case title was made in the matter of the application of John Bell for a change of name. John Robert Bell legally changed his name to John Christopher Williams. This changes entirely how he showed up in databases, searches, and public records. And when that happens less than a year after being accused of misconduct by multiple people, the timing stands out. To be clear, people change their name for many reasons. It's fully legal and it's not a crime. But in this case, it marked the final step in a complete disappearance. When you now look up his new name, you still cannot find a single thing about him. Therefore, he didn't just leave the internet, he erased his entire identity tied to it.